Recording in progress.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting today. It's nice to see we have company. It's always great to have people in our council chambers. So thank you, and we'll get started. Got a resolution here moved by Councillor Potnovich, second by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Council received the closed session report regarding a third-party information supplied in confidence to the municipality and personal information about an identifiable individual as information, and further that council approves the confidential direction to staff. All in favor of that motion? Thank you. I'd like to say that anybody that's speaking, go to the podium, state your name, and speak up. Our council meeting is being taped, and there's people in our listening area that likes to hear what we're saying. So if you don't mind, thank you very much. We've got a resolution moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Zimmerman. The minutes of the Town of Minto, September 2nd, 2025 closed session meeting and October 21st, 2025 regular council meeting be approved. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Thank you. Resolution moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Potnovich, that the Town of Minto convene into the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. Today we have a public meeting. MV 2025-07. It's the Lammers Dairy Incorporated at 6169 Third Line, Minto. I'll chair the public meeting. Any decision reached by this committee today cannot be used to set a precedent. Each application considered by the committee is dealt with on its own merits, and no two applications are exactly the same. Public hearing today is to consider a minor variance application, MV 2025-07. It's the Lammers Dairy Inc. I'd like to ask our Secretary Treasurer, McRob, to state the following information.
Thank you, Chair Turton. The subject property is legally described as Concession 2, Lot 18 West, Part Lot 17, DES Inc., RP, I have to take my glasses off, 60R2089, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and is municipally known as 6169 Third Line in the Town of Minto. The subject property is approximately 60 hectares or 148.2 acres. The purpose and effect of the minor variance application is to seek relief from Section 6.17.2 of the Town of Minto's Comprehensive Zoning Bylaws 01-86 to permit the expansion of the livestock facilities, including building a new dairy barn and a liquid manure tank, LMT. Section 6.17.2 requires minimum distance separation to MDS2 distances of 263 meters, 863 feet from the new LMT, and 181 meters or 594 feet for the new barn to the nearest neighbor's dwelling, whereas the LMT is proposed at 226 meters, 741 feet, and the barn at 145 meters or 476 feet from the nearest neighbor's dwelling. Additional relief may be considered at the time of the meeting. The notices were mailed to the property owners within 200 feet or 60 meters of the subject property, as well as the applicable agencies on October 14th, 2025, and posted on the subject property on the same date. Reports are there for you to review from the Town of Minto and Wellington County. I had no registrations for speaking at the public meeting.
And I think you've already asked everybody pertaining to this to sign in. So, okay, so we'll move along. I'm going to ask our Town of Minto Planning Coordinator to provide some comments. Sam Haggai.
Sorry.
Is that
Can
mic on?
can we change to a different microphone, please?
Wes, can you take control of the mic and make sure it's working when people address the podium? Thank you.
Perfect. As Annalyn mentioned, this application before the Committee of Adjustment pertains to the property located at 6169 Third Line, owned by Scott Lammers. The applicant is proposing to construct a new robotic milk barn and a new liquid manure tank to expand the current dairy farm operation, which currently includes a single detached dwelling, sheds, storages, and barns. The land is zoned agricultural and natural environment, which permits agricultural use and expansion, provided the MDS requirements of the Town of Minto zoning bylaw are met. The application has provided and evaluated alternative locations for the new barn and a liquid manure tank. And the preferred location as shown on the map is the report on the map results in a minimum distance separation of 226 meters to the nearest neighboring dwelling for the liquid manure tank, where 263 meters is required, and a minimum distance separation of 145 meters to the nearest neighboring dwelling for the barn, where 181 meters is required. The application has been circulated to our relevant agencies, including the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, County of Wellington Planning Department, and property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject property, with no concerns have been raised. Just want to note, Maitland Valley Conservation Area has noted that the property is within the Maitland Valley Conservation Regulated Area, and the proposal meets the required 50-meter setbacks from the watercourse to the north and the 30-meter setback from the wetland to the south of the property. So the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority has no concern with the proposal. Town staff support the application as it meets the four tests for the minor variance application under the Planning Act. The proposal is considered minor in nature and maintains the general intent and purpose of the both zoning bylaw and the official plan. OS and I are here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sama. We'll get to the questions in a moment or two. I'd like to ask Mr. Scott Lammers, the registered owner, to provide comments, if any. Scott, attend the mic, please. Welcome.
Thank you. As far as comments go, I guess the reason I want the minor variance is so what they proposed to me was the tank would be much further away. And my main reason was I didn't like how the farm would flow when it was all said and done, because the tank would be such a large distance from my proposed barn. So yes. And then as far as that goes, if there's any questions after, I'd be willing to answer any you guys have.
I'm not sure if you stated your name.
Oh, sorry, I'm Scott Lammers.
Thank you. All right, so I'd like to make a request for anybody else that wants to speak to the application? Us, go ahead, sir.
Kevin Peffer, I'm the neighbor of the proposed site there. Those measurements there, like the 145 meters or whatever that is that the edge of the barn or the center of the barn?
That would be,
Like our minimum distances are made from proposed site, is that the edge of the barn or the middle of the barn, the back of the barn?
edge of the barn.
Okay, so that's the closest point.
Kevin, Sama, do you want to answer that? Scott, or do you feel confident answering it?
I believe that's,
Okay,
from my
con-
understanding, that's what we meant.
confirmation then, Wes?
Yeah, it's taken from the edge of the barn.
Okay,
So that point that's closest to the road there in the blue, where the green arrow is, that's, yeah, okay. All right. And the note in here, additional relief may be considered. You mean closer than what it is now, Scott?
Actually, there is no additional relief in
Okay,
this.
okay.
Okay.
Because the way it is now, that's close enough.
That picture isn't 100% accurate.
Okay.
It looks worse than what it's actually.
And another question I had, hopefully there's no expansion of this barn area to get bigger.
That barn
Okay. Other than that, I don't think I have any. There's a municipal tile that goes down through the field there. That'll probably have to be addressed too. That comes from my place. That, you know, you don't see when you're talking about buildings.
Ryan, you want to comment on that, please?
Application, we'll be taking a look at that. Yeah, I am not familiar with that tile, but we'll have to address it.
Other than that, I don't think I have any other stuff.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin.
Okay.
I'm going to open it up to our committee. Any questions in reference to this application? Scott, you brought your nutrient management. I think we're looking at, what was it, 148 acres by raising your herd. You're increasing your, sorry, would you mind just taking through the nutrient management, there's no problem with the manure that you're going to produce? You can put it all
No.
on your land?
Yeah. And like we own more land on what that states. That's just the lot that the building's proposed to be on. So
Okay.
we have 300 acres total.
Perfect. Is there any other questions? Go ahead, Councilor Potnovich, sorry.
Yes, through you, Mayor. I'm assuming that through the building permit process, you're going to ask for a survey to confirm those distances are met?
We don't have that in our building bylaw, so we don't usually ask for a survey to confirm.
How do you know that they've met that distance? That
We have a golf range finder.
Because usually there's some conflict there if somebody, you know. I understand the need for putting these buildings where they are, like you want to try to keep them in a cluster. I mean, they obviously probably could have met the setback distances. But that would have put the manure storage probably further back into the wetland area or the closer to the creek. But I do understand why you want to cluster them up like that, preserve farmland.
I guess, can I touch on that? Sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Scott.
So your first part of like, we could put it where we were asked, you're correct, but the flow of the farm would have been completely just, in my sense, not make sense. And we would have been much closer to the creek as well.
Yeah.
And then as far as the drain, can I touch on that?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Obviously, if we get into the drain, we're gonna fix it, because if I don't fix it, I'm just gonna have a major wider issue on my farm. So and I have talked to my excavating guy about that specific drain itself, and yeah, it's something we're gonna have to do, but it's not gonna be left undone.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, I'll ask, being as there's no questions, I think this is very positive, and I'll ask our Secretary, or Secretary Treasurer McRob to produce the resolution.
Thank you, Chair Turton. Upon a resolution being carried or defeated, the notice of decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to be signed by all members of the Committee of Adjustment in favor of the decision. I will read the approval for your consideration. That the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment approves the application by Lammers Dairy Incorporated for the property legally described as Concession 2, Lot 18 West, Part Lot 17 DES, Inc., RP 60R2089, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and municipally known as 6169 Third Line in the Town of Minto, seeking relief from Section 6.17.2 to permit the expansion of the livestock facilities, including building a new dairy barn and a liquid manure tank.
We have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Zimmerman. Thank you. Does everybody understand the motion? Because I'm going to call the question. Is there any more comments? All in favor of the motion? That motion is carried. Thank you. Anyone wishing to receive a copy of the notice of decision of the Committee of Adjustment in respect to the minor variance application must make a written request to the clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89 Hairston, NOG 1Z0 or by email at annaline@town.minto.on.ca. And I'm going to officially adjourn this public meeting. Thank you very much. Scott, if you guys can stay, or you can leave now, whatever you want. Okay? Thank you very much. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment convene into the Committee of the Whole. All in favor of that motion? It's carried.
Sorry, someone, can you just close
Thank
those
you.
doors, please, for me? Thank you.
We have no public meetings today. We have no delegations, but we're now into the public question period. And the mayor, as the chair of the meeting, has the duty to preserve order and maintain decorum throughout the meeting. Although council strives to hear and be responsive to residents' concerns in order to preserve order, maintain decorum, and comply with the town's procedural bylaw, I wish to caution any participants in question period that questions that use discourteous language will not be permitted. Questions that seek policies or bylaws outside the town's jurisdiction, including policies or bylaws that might violate human rights legislation, will not be permitted. Anything that constitutes speeches or statements not in the form of a question will not be permitted. Repeat questions will not be permitted, including a repetition of questions from prior meetings. All persons shall be limited to no more than 2 questions. Question period is on. Any questions? All right, then we're going to move into correspondence. Got recommendation moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Councillor Zimmerman, that the council receive the correspondence as information. Is there any that we want to pull out and discuss? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Anderson.
The last letter, I believe it is, the one about the Brampton ASC. I found it quite worthwhile reading this document, some of the evidence to show that these cameras are effective in lowering speeds. I don't know if we want to further it on, but we want to share it with other communities, but I'm assuming they already have, so I don't know that that would be the point, but I do support what it's saying and I agree with it. I think it should be acknowledged. I'm not sure how to go about that.
Councillor
Rather than just
Dirksen,
stating
go ahead.
comments. Sorry.
Item B is kind of the same.
Yep.
From Pustlage. I think if we were going to support one, we should probably support Pustlage's because it's more succinct.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, thank you. Seconder, thank you. Deputy Mayor Anderson, so Annalene,
Just
you have
working on that, just
direction?
give me a second. That the council of the town of Minto support the township of Puslinch call to amplify automated speed enforcement advocacy 2026 Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund allocation.
Any others? I'll call the question then on that motion for support Puslinch. Against? Do you mind if I do that again?
Sorry. Yes.
All in favor of
I
that
was
motion?
reading, I'm sorry.
Sorry, all in favor of the motion. Thank you. Pardon me if I'm if I'm going too fast.
It's okay.
So then we'll vote on the
fault.
correspondence. All in favor of the rest of the correspondence? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move into staff reports. The County of Wellington Emergency Management Annual Emergency Management Program Report. Kathy Sweeney is here to report. Welcome, Kathy.
Is it on? Good afternoon, Mayor Turton and Council. Thank you very much for having me. I am here today on behalf of Aranya Melgar, who will be departing us soon on maternity leave. I'm here today to present the Annual Emergency Management Program Report. This report outlines the municipal requirements that are set out in the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act and the Ontario Regulation 380/4. And I'm here to explain how the municipality has fulfilled those requirements. They have a number of different segments that all municipalities have to qualify, or not qualify for, but actually have to participate in. So I'm just going to touch on each one of these elements. I believe that you have the report and have had an opportunity to review it. So we'll start with the program committee. The program committee meets on an annual basis, and we met in person on January 31st, 2025. And we reviewed the emergency management program. We looked at the hazard identification and risk assessment, also known as the HIRA. We looked at the county and the member municipalities emergency response plan. We reviewed our training needs. We talked about our annual exercise. We went over public education, and the meeting minutes are also attached to this report. So the emergency response plan, that is actually a secondary report that I'll be speaking to after this report. We did some updating and some changes to it. The training for 2025 has not changed from 2018. We trained both the primary and the alternates, and the town has satisfied the training requirements for this year. For the training, we did host a number of training courses this year. The only one that was new is we did start a new training software called D4H. So we did run some training sessions with all of the member municipalities, including Minto, and we also have that software presentation online for any members to view if they wanted to take the training virtually. The emergency management exercise, this year, the town of Minto did a joint exercise with Wellington North and Mapleton, and it was held on September 10th, 2025. The objectives of the exercise were to evaluate the communication and coordination processes among the different teams and departments and the stakeholders during a winter storm, kind of from what stemmed last year. We tested the IMS roles and responsibilities laid out in the emergency response plan, and we also used the D4H software, first time we'd used it, and just to allow members to test it and feel what it's like in an actual emergency event. So do you want me to go through the recommendations from the exercise?
I can read the recommendation if you want.
Sure, if you,
So we're still dealing with the first one, right? Yep.
yes.
So the recommendation is moved by Councillor Pottemit, second by Councillor Elliott, that the Council of Town of Minto hereby receives the annual emergency management program report for 2025, prepared by the emergency manager, and accepts the report on the status of the town's emergency management program for 2025. Questions for Kathy? You don't mind questions?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Right.
perfect. Seeing no questions, we'll, all in favor of this motion? That's carried. Thank you. So, Kathy, you want to go on to the emergency response plan updates?
Certainly.
We're trying to make this easy,
Thank you.
especially this one, because most of us were there.
Yes. So the second report that I'm here to present is the emergency response plan. It is typically it is reviewed every 5 years, and a full overhaul is done every 5 to 10 years. So it had been 5 years since we had done a real deep dive into the ERP. And since COVID, there were a number of actions that came out of the after action report. We also received some updates from the source water protection. And we decided that we would also review just, typos, updating some of the information. So we did a full review of the plan as well. So the changes that occurred, Aranya has provided a list in the report. Just to note, the second point says update the legal authority under the Ministry of Emergency Management, that particular point. The ministry name has changed once again. It is now going to be known as the Ministry of Emergency Preparedness and Response. So apologies for that update. We weren't aware of it when this report was written. We've gone through, updated grammar and spelling, added the source water protection plans, and that will more accurately reflect the details of the vulnerable areas showing on the mapping. The COVID after action report. What was highlighted from that report was to make sure the language that all emergency services and other support agencies are considered for participation in the joint municipal emergency control group emergency operations center meeting. It's a mouthful. I am here to answer any questions or
Okay,
If-
so we have a recommendation moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman, that the Council of Town of Minto hereby receives the Emergency Response Plan Updates Report for 2025, prepared by the Emergency Manager regarding the updated Emergency Response Plan for the Town of Minto, County of Wellington, and member municipalities. Further, that the Council of the Town of Minto approves the revised Municipal Emergency Response Plan bylaw in open session. Questions? No questions. Well, Kathy, thank you very much for coming. We certainly appreciate it. I haven't passed the motion yet, but the town of Minto really appreciates the work that you do and your colleagues at the county. And we know for sure that the reason why there's no questions likely is over the years we're very well represented. So thank you very much. And I think I've read the motion, have I not? So all we need to do is pass the motion. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you.
perfect.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anything else that you would like to say today?
No, just thank you, Council and your Turton for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Say the same thing to you. You can stay or
At home.
do whatever you want. Pardon me?
Or head home, right?
Or head home.
Yeah.
You're going to Durham, right?
Yes.
So we halfway there? Yeah, well, great. Thank you. So I'll pass the chair to Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor Turton, and I will turn it over to Ms. Harrow to give us a report on updates to establishing and regulating bylaw. Fire service.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Anderson. Yeah, we're happy to be here today to bring you 4 reports and show you some of the hard work that the team's doing. So half our team's here to tell you about this. The first one that we're going to talk about is, I get the boring one, but it's also the most important one. This is our establishing and regulating bylaw. So this is the bylaw that council passes, granting us the duties, services, and et cetera, what we do out in the community. So without council's permission to say, this is the services we want you to provide the citizens of Minto, we could not do what we do. So this is an update to it. The main part of the bylaw, which I'll maybe get Quinn to skip to the bylaw as well. The main part of the bylaw is just setting out that the town of Minto is establishing a fire department, that you're establishing the hiring of a fire chief and deputy chiefs, and that they're appointed by bylaw, which has already been done. And then it just goes along some of the duties of the fire chief, deputy chief, and the department. So it's a pretty standard bylaw that you'll see out there. Just itemizing definitions and everything to do with the fire department that way. That's the legalese. The just as important part, I think, is into the policies that are attached to the bylaw. So the first policy is our mission and mandate, which we don't need to go through, but that's the mission and mandate. And just for your information, that's our mission, mandate, and vision. Values, sorry, I forgot the values part. For all 3 departments. All 3 departments have worked together to come up with this, and this is what all 3 departments are striving for out in the community. The second policy then is the structure, reflecting the new structure of the department with the partnership. So the top red circle is our management team, and then the departments underneath that. So it's a very similar structure, and it's this, as I said, this is the current structure throughout the entire departments. Policy C. This is the one that's kind of gets into where council's decision is today by passing this bylaw. Policy C is outlining all of the services that we do provide as a department. So, yeah, some people are not being able to see it on their tablets, so.
No.
Okay,
was gonna say, I sure I saw
I
that.
went through this a million times.
It's at the very end with the bylaws. So this is where the services that council is approving that we offer as a fire department. And all the services are pretty standard in there. We offer vehicle extrication, we offer medical first aid, fire suppression, investigation, fire prevention. All of the standard stuff is authorizing that we offer that. Where it gets different is the second page is the specialty rescue services. As you can see, they're all what we see in the legend as A. That means that all the specialty rescue services are being offered as per agreement with other fire departments to offer those services. So as Minto Fire, we do not offer any specialty rescue services to our community. They are all done through by agreement. So by passing this level of service and this bylaw and this level of service, then we will bring you, in the future, we'll bring you agreements with the fire departments that we're signing on to that are going to provide all of these services to us. The next policy is the response guidelines. And this is new, but I believe it's very important that we set a benchmark that council approves that this is the benchmark that we're going to try and meet, or that we are going to meet as a response guideline for the fire department. So you can see it's broken down into suburban, rural, and then remote areas, and it explains what each one is. And this is the times that we want to meet. And yearly, then when we bring our yearly report back, we'll report back to how we're meeting our response guidelines as per what you passed as policy. So this is what you're saying to our residents, that this is what you can expect of Minto Fire as our ability to respond, as the basic minimum. Hopefully we're way past the basic minimum and we're doing way better than that, but as a basic minimum, this is the guideline that you're setting as council, and this is what we'll strive to meet and report back to you on how we're doing with that. The next policy is inspection frequency. So this is more of our inspection policy to say this is what we're going to try and endeavor to get out in the community and do, which ones there's some of them in here that we're mandated to do annually, and there'll be other ones that we're in here that we're choosing to do on a couple year basis or annually, etc. So that, again, it's public knowledge that this is what our inspection program is going to be, and this is what we're going to try and get out and do in the community. And the last policy is training requirements. And under NFPA is what we're mandated to do through the provincial government. It's the new regulation. This just lists out that, referring to that regulation, saying that we are going to train as to the NFPA standards. And here's the standards, some of the standards that we're going to try and meet as a department. This one's pretty straightforward, as I say, because we're mandated to do it this way. So that's what the ENR bylaw is, and that's what it's all about. So by passing this bylaw, you're authorizing us or giving us direction to provide those services, meet those guidelines. And then as a management team, that's what we go out into the community and we strive to meet those measures. And it's also for anybody in the community that wants to see it, they are able to see exactly what the expectations are of the fire department in the town of Minto. So if there's any questions, by all means.
I'm going to read out the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Elliott and seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the council of the town of Minto hereby receives report fire 2025-008, establishing and regulating bylaw update prepared by the Director of Fire Services for information purposes, and further that policies A to F attached hereto as Schedule A be adopted, and the Director of Fire Services be authorized to amend the schedule from time to time. And further, that the mayor and council approve a bylaw in open session, approving the new bylaw governing fire service operations in the town of Minto. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Elliott.
If I can go through you to Chris.
Sure.
Chris, I just wondering, I see in inspections that, like the churches are upon request and schools every other year. You get results from, or how often do you do that? Or it's just, you're scheduled to do your school once a year. So you have a date for that kind of thing, or how's that work?
Yes, so we work with through you, Chair, to Councillor Elliott, we work with the school boards or the individual schools to set the date, so that usually we say, okay, we're here, we'll see you again next year in 2 years. So the they expect when we're coming. The vulnerable occupancies are our nursing homes, and that they know that this time of year we're always coming in, so they expect it. The new software that we're implementing, which we'll talk about in a little bit with my colleagues there, we're able to schedule that right in the software, and it will generate emails and all that as a reminder to them to say, by the way, get ready, we're coming in a month or anything like that. So we never surprise anybody. We just call them and set up appointments to go.
So when you do these inspections, if you decide whether it needs a sprinkler system or whatever it may be for whatever position or whatever place you're looking at, or how does that work? And do they have to follow that if you follow up on that kind of thing?
Yeah, so through these inspections, we're enforcing the Ontario Fire Code. So what we do a lot of times is we'll make a report to them to say, here's the deficiencies that we found, and we work with them to get the deficiencies fixed. If it's something major, we'll work with them over an extended period of time to get that done and up to speed. If we get refusals and the owner does not like to work with us or doesn't want to do that, we can go the route of charging them. But that's very, very rare that we do that. Almost all of our landlords and property owners are in agreement, and they work with us to get whatever needs to be fixed. So,
Does that work with the insurance companies too, kind of thing?
a little bit, but not per se. No, it's mostly with the homeowners. The insurance companies won't pay them to fix anything. They might, if they catch wind of it, increase their premiums or even withdraw, but it's mostly up to the homeowner or the property owner to fix the deficiency that we found on the inspection.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, no problem.
Yes, Councilor Podnowitz?
Yes, through your chair. Is there a minimum number of residential units? I guess a level that you have to inspect? Like, is there a cutoff? Anything less than 5, you don't have to do a fire inspections on, or?
It's a great question through you, Chair. There is no minimum number for residential units, and we usually don't do residential units. We only do them upon request. And if somebody requests us to go into a house to look at it, there's very little that we can do in a residential house. We can check smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, escapes routes, stuff like that, but it's very, excuse me, very little we can do in a residential occupancy. So we don't do them very often. If we do, it's just more or less a smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm check.
Yeah, I was thinking more like apartment buildings or that type of thing.
Correct. Apartment buildings, yeah, it's any apartment building, whether it's 2 units to 20 units, we will go in there and see. There is I think it's minimum 4 units. They have to have a fire safety plan. So we try and we work with the bigger ones first and then work our way down, if that's saying so. Yeah.
Any other
Yes,
questions?
yes, thank you.
Mayor Curtin?
Thank you, Chair. Yep. Chief, this isn't new. I mean, all we're doing is really extending the establishing and regulating bylaw. I mean, there's a lot of new stuff in here that we're doing today that we weren't doing a year ago or 2 years ago.
Correct. It's been a while since we've updated this. I can't remember last time I brought it to you as council, but a lot has changed.
Yeah.
With the partnership, but the more policies that are in the back for council approving what we do is more important because that is your role as council in the fire service, is to set all those levels of service, set the response guidelines and all that stuff. And then we follow that. So it's much better liability wise. If council approves it, then I say this is what we're going to do and go out on my own. So it's the natural flow of things that we do. And as you can see, the chart up there that I put in there, we did the community risk assessment, which council saw. And through that community risk profile, this is what we determine what our level of service should be. So again, this is what it comes back to you. You saw the community risk assessment. Now you're setting a level of service for us to say, okay, this is the services you want to offer our residents. And so then we do this after today. And then obviously we go through operations to help pay for it and to offer that level.
So when we talk about minimum standards on some things, but there's a lot of issues here that we're way above the minimum standards.
Correct. Yeah. As a fire department, you can, the minimum standards you have to do is have a smoke alarm, carbon monoxide alarm program. You have to do fire inspections upon complaint and request. And you have to, the last one's escaping me. Anybody remember? It's the third one. But there is nothing in there that says you shall if you choose to establish a fire department, which we are doing this, then you have to offer some services.
Yeah.
But those services can be pretty basic. We can just have one truck and we can stand outside and spray water on the outside, called exterior firefighting, and that's a fire department, which has to work for some places very remote up north. But here, what we classify as a full service department, where we offer exterior, interior, vehicle extrication, medical first aid, we're a full service department because of our call volume and the makeup of our community.
You're visiting the other two municipalities, Mapleton and Wellington North, giving them the same message.
Correct. The bylaws are the exact same going to each municipality. So there'd be the same speech times 3 and hopefully the same decision times 3.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? And that's passed. And we'll move on to the next item.
And I'm going to pass this off to Deputy Chief Loos and Stephanie to take you through these reports. First one's Deputy Loos.
Thank you, Chief Harrow. So back in the spring, the government put out a grant for mental health support for public safety personnel. And you had to put together a business case as to why resiliency training will benefit your department and if there's any partnership opportunities with your neighboring services in order to offer this specific training. And we put together a business case, asked for around 30,000 and were awarded 75,000 for training next year, 25 per department. So I think that's all that I'm supposed to tell you in terms of this report. But
That's great.
if anybody has any questions about
I'll
the grant.
I'll just read the recommendation.
Sure.
And then ask for questions. So moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Podnowitz, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report fire 2025-009, mental health supports for public safety personal grant, prepared by the Director of Fire Services for information purposes. Are there any questions? Comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's passed. And we'll move on to the next item.
All right, so I will call up Steph for the presentation on Community Connect. Can you go to the PowerPoint, please? Thank you. Okay, so today we're hoping to talk to you, or we are talking to you about a new service that the fire department is offering, our new program. It's called Community Connect. And essentially, next slide, the purpose of Community Connect is to build a safer community through prevention, preparedness, and response. Historically, the fire service has done the purpose of Community Connect through things like you might have put a sticker on your house with the amount of pets that you have in your house, or a sticker on the bedroom to let people know that there's a child in a bedroom. Another example of this program, historically, would be the vial of life or file of life that pharmacists or paramedics were handing out, where you had to put your medications and emergency contact info in the file. Sorry, put on the fridge. So those would be examples of the gap that this program will be fulfilling in more of a high-tech way. So what Community Connect is, sorry, next slide. It's a crowdsourced critical information portal, and it's going to help us achieve our vision because it's fairly new to the province of Ontario. Residents can input voluntarily their critical information into this portal, and then we can use this information to make better decisions from a response perspective and a public education perspective. So again, thinking historically, we've never had the ability to really use this information readily on scene. It's just been difficult with people historically have called into the fire department, maybe said, my mom's got mobility needs, or my mom has oxygen at her house, and we've been able to accept that information. But as you can probably understand, it's not feasible to take all of our property records out into the field and sort through them to find this information paper-based. So when we switched RMS providers in the spring, one of the services that they offered is called Community Connect. And Community Connect essentially is the Cadillac version of all of those pre-planning things where it collects information on behalf of the resident and alerts first responders of that information. So today's presentation, next slide please, is just to talk about Community Connect, some of the capabilities that it has for our residents, some use cases to further those concepts. We're going to talk about how we're going to roll it out within the community, and then some questions if you have any. So I'm going to pass it over to Steph, and she's going to talk about some of the features.
Thank you. So by using the Community Connect website, residents can create an account using just their address, email, and phone number. They can create either a residential or a business account. And then through that, they can create their life safety profile. Next slide. So for residents, some of the information that they might want to include in their profile would be details about their home, who lives there, how many people, how many children, who should be contacted if there's an emergency. They can include functional needs like medical conditions or mobility issues that would benefit us to know ahead of time. They can also include information about their pets or their livestock. They can include photos or veterinary contact information. And through the portal, they can also apply directly for burn permits. So if they apply as a rural property, they can apply online. They'll get an email with an approval fairly quickly. And if they are in an urban area, they will see some of the information surrounding campfires and what can and can't be burned in the urban areas. For commercial properties, some of the information they could include would be their business type, who to contact during an emergency, business access information, key codes. They can include the utility shutoffs, the location for those shutoffs, any fire protection system. They can include all the details for those, as well as any hazardous materials on site. Next slide. And then they can also attach any documents to the property, so fire safety plans or site images. And then businesses can also request inspections directly through the portal as well. So once a profile is created, the user has the option to sign up for alerts so that if there were an emergency at their address, they would be notified immediately. And then we also have the ability to send notifications for emergency management alerts, public education messaging, and functional alerts like burn bans. We can send out a burn ban notification to anybody with an active burn permit, or a flood warning to residents that we've identified as in a flood zone.
All right. So that is the portal that residents can sign up to participate in voluntarily. And the portal is bank level encrypted. So if you use online banking, then you can use this portal. It's the same amount of security. So in terms of the critical information and what do we do with this information as first responders? So firefighters will have access to this information en route eventually in our command portal. It will pop up as a tile to say you're attending this resident and there is an oxygen tank on site, or there's a specific chemical on site if it's a farm. That will pop up for the incident command to be able to be alerted to that information. But we're just going to go through some use cases about how residents and the fire department will interact with the portal. So in terms of vulnerable populations, we have an elderly resident, Keith, who lives alone in his house. The home is in the flood zone in Hairston, and Keith has 2 children that live an hour away, both in separate directions, but they're still the primary caregiver of Keith and check on him regularly. So Keith's son signs up to Community Connect and maintains the profile on behalf of his parent. And then the son gets alerts to when the fire department responds to the parent's house, and the son will get emergency alerts related to what's happening in the area, and if there are any evacuation alerts related to flooding to his dad's home also. Next slide, please. In terms of how we are going to use this information as it rolls in. So if we see that there's an increase in profiles created as caregivers for the vulnerable population in our community, in order to better solidify relationships between caregivers, the aging population and the fire department, we could host a resource fair for caregivers to provide them with different ideas on how to maintain safety in their house, partnering with OPP, paramedics, those types of agencies. If we look at neurodivergent populations, we have Noah, he's 10. He's an autistic child living in a small town. He's nonverbal. He has sensory sensitivities, especially to loud noises and flashing lights, and becomes overwhelmed by unfamiliar environments or people. So his parents worry about how Noah would react during a fire. Noah's parents create a Community Connect profile. They include key details about Noah, Noah's diagnosis, communication style, which is picture cards, sensory triggers and calming techniques, such as soft music. Next slide, please. The family uploads a photo of Noah and notes his tendencies to hide under the green chair in the master bedroom when scared. So again, this will pop up on our responder dashboard in active mode. Firefighters see this info before arriving on scene. They know to turn their lights off and approach calmly, and what hiding spots are key when trying to search for Noah. So the impact this has in our community in terms of our neurodivergent populations is that Noah is safer and less traumatized during emergencies. And our community becomes more inclusive and proactive when it comes to that population. Next slide, in terms of, sorry, nope, you did, yep, work, good job. In terms of ongoing community engagement. In terms of ongoing community engagement when it comes to this information, so again, if we see an increase in profiles created with neurodivergent or functional needs, we could look at hosting a sensory friendly open houses within those stations where families like Noah's can come meet our firefighters, explore our trucks, and build trust in a low stress setting. So farm families would be the next population that we can look at in terms of an example. So we have the Thompson family, who operates a mid-sized farm in rural Ontario. They raise livestock, grow corn and soybeans. Their property includes multiple outbuildings, fuel storage tanks, and a farmhouse where 3 generations live, including a grandfather with mobility issues. In the event of a barn fire, responders can access the Thompson's profile, and maybe there's a better entrance on the farm for fire truck access that is outlined in the profile. The profile also lets us know where animals are housed and how to avoid panic with their animals, what chemicals are stored on site, and that the grandfather may need assistance evacuating in the event of a fire. The ongoing community engagement piece with that is, as that information starts to flow into our portal, we'll be able to, if we see an increase in farm profiles showing that farmers are storing a certain, maybe we see in the data that comes in that there's a new chemical being stored by farms that we're unfamiliar with that needs a specific extinguishing agent, we can look at remedying that or making sure that we're prepared for that in the future moving forward. When it comes to small businesses and hazard planning, so a lot of our downtown cores have lots of small businesses in a really highly concentrated in an area. So we have a downtown block that includes several small businesses, a bakery, a tattoo studio, a tech repair shop, and a yoga studio. And each of those businesses have unique fire risks and occupancy patterns. So owners can register their businesses within that property, detailing hours of operation, hazardous materials such as ink, solvents, or lithium-ion batteries, the number of employees and typical customer volume for those businesses, emergency contacts, and building plans can be uploaded to the portal as well. And again, firefighters can use this information to prioritize the response based on risk level and occupancy. So maybe when they get there, one business is operating and one business is closed. In terms of the ongoing community engagement piece, so if a fire breaks out in the bakery's kitchen after hours, responders can access the profile to confirm if there would typically be staff working at that time, locate the gas shutoff valve, and prevent spread to neighboring units. Businesses could then so we can engage with businesses after the fire and let them know what their next steps would be. They can use Community Connect to document damage and coordinate with insurers by uploading all of the images to their portal. The platform also would then help us access or would help them help us give them recovery resources and provide after the fire guidance through the portal, through the way that we can communicate with them. So one of the questions that kind of comes up is, yes, this is an internet-based crowdsourcing information. What do we do about residents who don't have access to the internet? So again, we have reached out to different organizations that are care providers that have no problem promoting our information amongst the caregivers of those people that maybe don't have internet. The other way that we can flag within our properties is people can call in and give us this information, which is what's happening now. It's been happening for years. Like that's the norm, is people will call and tell us what's going on in their property and we'll write it down. Now we can just flag it on a property and it will get used in the field. And if we feel that there's a specific population, such as the Mennonite and Amish communities, that probably aren't going to call us or use the portal, we can go out and do paper-based surveys with them if we feel that that's appropriate and re-enter that data in our system. Next slide, which I just kind of talked about all of that. And yeah, I'm going to pass it back to Steph to talk about how we're going to roll out the program.
So we're going to start rolling out the program officially today with a news release. It's now live on our website and through social media. We are going to be doing some user group demonstrations with some different community groups to get them onboarded, and then also have some upcoming workshops with some of our downtown businesses to kind of help them get on board and see what it can be used for as well.
Okay,
Any
so
questions?
yeah, that kind of wraps up the Coles Notes version of Community Connect.
I'll just read out the recommendation and then we can ask questions. So they're recommended by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report fire 2025-010 Community Connects program prepared by the Director of Fire Services for information purposes. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Elliott.
Do you include properties that are not in the town of Minto that you service as a fire department? With mutual aid, you have, don't you have?
In terms of Community Connect, it's only available to residents in Minto, Mapleton, and Wellington North.
Okay. Yeah. So the people at the edge of King Hotel, for example, who it's about 3 or 4 houses there, and they won't get access to that, or?
So we have the ability to override the system in terms of that if there are bordering populations that we cover as a fire department, then we can add them to that library of properties for them to be able to put their information in. But we have to limit it to geographic information so that like somebody from Kitchener can't apply to use without having a property in this area.
You have properties that you service as a fire department that not necessarily in the town of Minto.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So those would be included. We just have to, it's just
So in
a
your
different back
Fire
end.
services, geography sort of thing.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Comments? I would just like to make a comment if I could. I think this is a great idea. The more information fire services have going into a situation, the better they're able to serve people and protect themselves. And perhaps if we'd had things like this a few years ago, we wouldn't have those tragic deaths and listables. So the more information we can get out to you guys before you're heading into situations, I think that's essential. And I think I'm glad to see that you're going to have some community engagement so that we encourage people to put the information on, because people tend to think this will never happen to us until it does. So kudos to you. I think that's a great service. Yes,
Yes,
Mayor Turk.
thank you, Madam Chair. So how can we help? So I've got a neighbor that's all alone. She has no family. She doesn't have a computer. How can we help her or something like that?
As council members or just as the fire department?
As just a caring neighbor.
Yep. So we have print assets that will be available that anybody can carry and give out. So you would be able to give them some information about the program. And then, as we had mentioned, we're having some onboarding sessions in probably the spring that we're partnering with different groups like the Senior Center of Excellence. I think we're attending a lot of their coffee hours, and I think they have some Zoom calls and dinners and stuff that we're going to be members of, that seniors can talk to us and we'll onboard them right there so they don't have to worry about doing it themselves. So you could invite your neighbor to one of those using our print assets, or they can even just call the fire department and we can onboard them via telephone.
So presently, after you dole this out, Community Connects is the 3 municipalities that you're working for. Do you
Mhm.
see it? And I'm sorry, I was out late last night. I might have dozed off on your I had glazed eyes. Do you see it going provincial wide? Or other people that look at Minto, Wellington North, Mapleton and say, well, that's that Community Connects really is working well for them. Why wouldn't we do it?
Certainly, it could. It just kind of comes down to the fire departments who adopt a certain RMS. So if they adopt First Due as their records management system, then they'll have that option. And if they don't, then they don't. So I've seen a couple press releases around here. I think Caledon has rolled out Community Connect, and there's been a couple of them pop up. So it might catch on. I mean, First Due is really catching on in the province. A lot of fire departments are going to First Due, so it could become provincial. But
So just last note, I asked Khalees to come and talk to the Wellington Federation of Agriculture, and she did. She explained to them about this, and I know that they were pretty interested.
yeah, I think we're far.
The other thing was, what 3 words?
Yep.
Do you mind just taking a moment? And I know we're off topic, but I know it's pretty interesting as well.
Sure.
That app.
Yep. So we actually had a call last night on the trail in Palmerston. There was a tree on fire, and that was the first time I've seen what 3 words actually used in Minto. So What 3 Words, for those of you who may be unfamiliar, is an app called What 3 Words that you can download to your mobile device. And it's a concept that comes from the UK. And basically the world is divided into 10 by 10 foot by 10 foot squares, and they all have plain language 3 English words attached to them. So dispatchers are ready to take this information. So last night, the person on the trail had their app open and announced the 3 words that were showing on the screen. Our dispatchers added it to our CAD system, showed up in our notes, and then we were able to input that into our app and get the exact geolocation of the tree that was on fire. So it's starting to take on in Minto. I've noticed that Saugeen Shores and a lot of the conservation authorities up there have their trails marked every kilometer with a What 3 Words code. So if you're out on the trail, you can use that as your 911 marker. It's also very handy for farms, that if you do have a 300-acre farm and 1 municipal address, then you can mark out different markers in your farm. So if you want to mark out a silo or mark out a back shed, then you can put your 1 3 words code, maybe label the door so that if you have employees or families, can give that code to better direct where first responders should go in the event of an emergency. I've seen it used in trailer parks where the trailers use What 3 Words, because sometimes they're not maybe numbered as well as they should be. So it's definitely it's actually not new. Wellington County has adopted it about 5 years ago, but it's just kind of getting going. So last night was the first time I've seen it used in our area.
So on the 300-acre issue, you pull up to the front of my farm, and I'm at the back corner of the farm, you can't see me with that What 3 Words. I can point that out very quickly to you, exactly where I'm at. That's pretty amazing.
Yep.
Yes, Councilor Gunn.
Just a question, apartment buildings, like, will you approach them to get everybody on board in there, or will, like, if you get a resident or somebody call that's in that apartment building, would you work with everybody in that building to get them all onboarded? Is that the plan?
Yeah. We're hoping to actually work with victim services and some other agencies to kind of first prioritize county housing, because that's where the bulk of a lot of the emergency service calls come from, and hopefully onboard those units first, and then work at so the way our RMS system works is everything is connected. So Community Connect puts information into inspections, it puts information into the responder dashboard. So we're working, once the inspection gets completed, then they automatically kind of get onboarded into Community Connect, because obviously fire safety plans have information for Community Connect. So we're just kind of working through that inspection schedule. Next year, every time we go to an inspection, those people will get a pre-inspection checklist to let them know what they need to look for, and information about Community Connect and why they should be on it. And then the inspector will go do the inspection and then kind of also give a plug for Community Connect and why everybody should be on it. So.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? And that's passed. And I think we have one more item. Whoever gets the pleasure of delivering statistics.
Yeah, still me. In terms of the third quarter, so third quarter report for statistics, our call volumes are a little bit down for Minto, but there's no real rhyme or reason as to why they might be down. And for this summer, we did some training. We had the firefighter games. So all 7 stations participated in a skills fair, which was kind of neat to see who is good at what. We ran a pump ops course and an officer course. We've had a couple joint station practices this summer. In terms of equipment, we put in some new hose was put into service in all 3 departments. We did pump and ladder testing for all 3 departments. The aerial continues to give us a little bit of a problem in terms of repairs, which we're working through. Got the news about the mental health grant. Been working, trying to implement First Due. So all of our property data across all 3 fire departments have been moved into our RMS system, which is why Community Connect and the burn permit portal and all that stuff has been able to get started. We completed burn permit administration training with all 3 municipalities, and have implemented kind of a paperless inspection and pre-inspection checklists in our fire prevention department so far. We've done a few inspections, and the trends coming from the inspections mostly is just out-of-date fire safety plans, hoarding, and out-of-date records. Just people forget to update their records and track them down before our inspectors get there. From a public education perspective, we completed a lot of summer camps, pretty much with every community. We attended Drayton, Palmerston, and Arthur fall fairs, in the sense that we had categories in their fair books and people could enter in fire safety projects, which was cool to see. I meant to add some photos, but I didn't. So people got to create, or kids created, their favorite firefighter out of a pumpkin and stuff like that, which was neat. We had hosted car seat clinics in Hairston and Moorfield, follow up from the spring because we did 4 or 5 in the spring. We've attended a wellness fair, farmers market, Test Your Smoke Alarm Day, where everybody was giving out, all the grocery stores were giving out reusable shopping bags. Fire Prevention Week was about lithium-ion batteries. So we did a contest where if you answered trivia questions about lithium-ion batteries, you got a gift card to local business. Then we went out with a bang with the fire related to Fire Prevention Week at the end there. And we attended the Seniors Connection and Health Fair in Mount Forest and kind of talked up Community Connect, made a lot of partnerships with the organizations that were there to support the launch of Community Connect, and finished programming the mental health app that the Mayor's Golf Tournament supported with funding, completed some training for administration on that app with the intent of rolling it out soon. And right now we're into recruitment. So we're doing some interviews with 5 stations. We have 2 stations that don't have spots, with the intent of taking 12 to 14 in January 2025. And it's soon going to be Santa Claus parade season. So that's kind of the crux of what happened from July to October.
Thank you very much, and I'll read the resolution. Recommended by, or moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. The Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report fire 2025-011, third quarter statistics prepared by the Director of Fire Services for information purposes. Any questions or comments? Yes, Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just looking at the pictures here, Talise,
Yep.
I don't see in any picture, Counselor Zimmerman or Gunson. Do they not show up to the fires or to the training, or why, what's going on with that?
I don't
Or
know
do
if I
you
have a
just-
comment.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
I don't know what I should do at this point. Whether I should comment, not comment, I'm not sure.
Thank
Any
you.
other
That's a great report. It's really interesting stuff, and it's quite amazing how the calls, I know you said there's no rhyme or reason or anything like that, but land mass in Wellington North, like they're at 356 and the other ones are half that, like Mapleton 134.
Yeah, typically Minto always kind of sits in the middle. Wellington North has a lot of calls. Mapleton, not as many. Minto always is usually in the middle. So
Yep,
Any other
thank you.
questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, then I'll ask the question. All those in favor of accepting the report? And that passed as well. And I will pass the chair across to Councillor Gunson.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, you guys. Appreciate it. Oh, you have another council meeting today? Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got a couple drain reports tonight. Ryan's here to present them. So go ahead, Ryan.
Thank you, Councillor Gunson. My first report today is to address a Section 4 petition that council received back in 2019. Previous council accepted this report or this petition, and it was from a property owners of concession 15 lot 30 who seeked a new outlet for a subsurface tile system. Council accepted the petition and appointed Dietrich's Engineering to investigate the potential design solutions and carry out the petition process. Since then, Dietrich's Engineering has had some trouble with some staff retention and leaving them with the inability to complete the project. They have suggested us to transfer the project over to another consultant to carry on. Headway Engineering actually has some staff on within their employment that previously worked on this project, so they have some past history on it. So we're hoping by passing it on to them that they can get it finished and utilize any information that was already collected throughout the design process to date. I've contacted the original petitioner and he's still wanting to move forward with this project. So it's essential that we carry out the process and get a new engineer on board to carry out that process. So any questions, please let me know.
Thanks, Ryan. I'll read the recommendation. Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, second by Councillor Podnowitz, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report PW 2025-022, Municipal Drain 118 appointment, prepared by the Drainage Superintendent for information purposes, and further that the Council of the Town of Minto appoints Headway Engineering to represent the town's interest in this regard. Any questions for Ryan? Councillor Podnowitz.
Yes, through your chair. So is there going to be any changes to the cost for this new engineer opposed to what was approved before?
So they never got to actually filing a report with any cost. They were still in the design stages, so that remains to be seen. We need that in a report to council to understand what the cost implications are going to be.
Any other?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Brian, we seem to be dealing with a lot of drainage issues right now. Can you put your finger on the reason why?
I think in general, a lot of our systems are outdated now. There was a lot installed in the 80s and early 70s, which they're all coming to end of life. Yeah, that's
Okay,
my best
thank you.
answer there. Yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor? It's passed. Thank you. Second one, Ryan, go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Gunson. This next report addresses the completion of multiple drain projects. So as council is aware, the Drainage Act requires different processes for each application. These are improvements. Some of them were petition drains, new drains, but each follow a similar process. So, yeah, council is definitely aware of these processes. We have carried out a number of them already this year. So essentially these all are processes, or these are all projects that have went through the council process, got approvals, went through the appeals, and actually went out and got constructed. So council passes a bylaw authorizing these construction. And, but in that bylaw it references the estimated cost because it hasn't been constructed yet. Today, what I'm doing is asking for an amendment to those bylaws to reflect the actual cost of the constructions outlined in the chart. So it's the very last step of the process. This also allows us to levy out the cost to the landowners accurately. Yeah, so these 5 drains, 14, 17, 102, 104, and 120 are all completely complete. And this is the very last step for the drain process. So if there's any questions with that, I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks, Ryan. I read the recommendation moved by Councillor Zimmerman, second by Councillor Elliott. The Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report PW 2025-023 Municipal Drain Construction Assessments, pre-municipal drains 14, 17, 102, 104, and 120, prepared by the Drainage Superintendent and Treasurer for information purposes. And further, that the Council of the Town of Minto passes associated individual bylaws in open session. Any questions for Ryan? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Dirksen. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Councillor Gunson. And we have three items on the agenda this afternoon for finance. And so I'll turn it over to our treasurer, Gordon Duff, to take us through the first one.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Dirksen. So my first one is a short report, but a lot of thought has gone into this. As we're well aware, the town of Minto is now a municipality with a strong mayor. This legislation came in May. It was effective. And I believe in May, a report was brought forward and it affected a lot of items. And the clerk and I have taken a lot of courses in the interim since then and attended a lot of seminars. At that time, I think the desire of the mayor and the council were to leave things as they are as much as possible. And we set our 25 meeting schedule in late 24 when we had no idea this strong mayor legislation was coming in. I think we do have to modify a few things because despite our desire to keep things as normal, the legislation requires a few different things that we've never done before. The one that I'm wrapping my head around is we don't pass a budget bylaw anymore. And, you know, ever since Minto started, we've always passed a budget bylaw, one of our most important bylaws of the year. Things have changed because it's now the mayor's budget, and we need time, I think, to gather input from other councillors, from the public, from staff. New information will come in, like we're expecting the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund allocation to be announced within the next few weeks. We don't have it. You're going to get a budget bylaw today that is just an estimate. Hopefully later on it'll be that. We also have had a history of presenting the operating budget and the capital budget separately. So the legislation says the mayor presents the budget. Well, is that the budget? And I think we've concluded, no, it's not. So what we're going to do, we're going to stick with our timetable. So November 4th, you will get the draft operating budget. On November 25th, you will get the draft capital budget. We'll have our public open house that we committed to doing on December 2nd. And then the mayor will present the final budget on December the 16th, according to what I'm recommending anyway. At that time, there are three, I guess we call them periods. And on the third part of the report, we put together a brief summary of what those things are. So basically, there's an amendment period, a veto period, and an override period. And the legislation includes maximum time periods for both of them. So the first one is the review period. And that is the opportunity for other councillors than the mayor to propose amendments to the budget that is being presented. If an amendment comes forward, the mayor has a choice. If he likes that amendment, he will basically do nothing. He might say, I'm fine with it, I'm not going to veto it. But if he does not agree with it, he may propose a veto. And that means, no, I don't want that amendment to go forward. Council then has an opportunity to override the veto. And it's a high bar, it's 2/3. And in our case, we have 7 councillors. That means 5 councillors have to vote to override the veto. And at the end of all these periods, the budget is, in the words, deemed adopted. So I'm proposing the initial thing is to have a 30-day review period. Bearing in mind that if we stick with our current timetable, we have a lot of time, like I'm thinking 5 to 6 weeks to gather information before that final budget comes forward, which is what I think we all want. We want to hear from other councillors. We want to hear from the public. We want our other information. And if staff has something that's come up that we didn't know about today, they can let us know. So again, that period is a maximum of 30 days. I'm just throwing out, how about 15 days? But you can make it like whatever you choose. Council can reduce the review period and the override period. The mayor has the discretion of reducing the veto period. So the veto period is currently set at 10 days maximum, and the override at 15 days. So I'm just, in my recommendation, I've got 15 days for the review period, 10 days for the override. Council can make that whatever you wish. You can't exceed, you can't say, well, I want 45 days, but you could make it 2 days, 29 days, kind of anything in between. And so I kind of worked it out. The minimum, like if we set 15 days and we presented it on December 16th and there were no amendments, then on New Year's Eve, we'd have a budget. It would come into effect. If you decide not to shorten any of these periods, we have an amendment. The mayor exercises his veto and council decides to do the override. I figure we're into February the 9th of 26 at the worst. So that's kind of the time period, and I guess I'll take questions, but I guess what we're looking for is direction. What would you be comfortable for those periods?
Okay, so I'll read the recommendation as it is, and then we can adjust the numbers if we want to.
Right.
Moved by Councillor Podnowitz and seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report Finance 2025-015, budget timelines prepared by the Treasurer for information purposes, and further that the Council of the Town of Minto reduces the review period to 15 days and reduces the override period to 10 days. Okay? So that's where we're starting from. Deputy Mayor. Yes, that one.
Deputy Mayor?
There's only one of you around the table. Sorry.
So if we're looking at doing this reducing of days or whatever, they're gonna have to coincide with council meetings, or we're gonna have specially called council meetings to discuss those out, or do we just send a group email and all agree?
You can talk directly to the mayor. Doesn't have to be at a council meeting.
Okay.
You
But
can
how does
propose.
everybody else know about it?
That's a very good question. I haven't
seen
come across anything that
There's no
sees,
rules about the
No.
process to change or to have this veto period? Is a council meeting with a quorum or a meeting at a coffee
no,
shop, which will be
because we
reported
don't,
to the ombudsman, or-
we don't need a quorum for an amendment. One counselor can propose an amendment. Then
What if
it,
we all propose a different amendment?
then the mayor has many decisions. He could have 6 decisions. If you all proposed a different amendment, he would have 6 decisions on whether to veto that
Let's
amendment.
do it.
Yes. And then, and then you would see his decision. Either he doesn't, or he.
Has this system been used in the previous 29 municipalities that had strong mayor powers?
Yes, yes.
And
So
how
I
did it
think
go?
I think it's been an evolving process. I think if I recall correctly, it came in just Toronto and Ottawa. Then there were bats of other cities, whatever. And then we had a whole batch, I think it's at 169 came in here. So in Wellington County, it's just the town of Minto and the township of Center Wellington. I've fortunate had the chance to chat with the treasurer of the city of Guelph, and I got a lot of insight from her because she's on her 3rd year. As I say, it's an evolving process. Again, the original motivation was to speed the development of housing. And as I think in Anneline's report from May, there's a lot of things, not just housing. But that's the basis of it. That's why the government brought this in.
Fail to see how something like this is gonna speed up much of anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whether they found it effective, or did they get things done in a quicker time frame or a longer time frame?
Yeah, I don't know, because even the ones that have had it for a while, it's not a long while, it's maybe like 3 years, so I think it's still too early to tell. There have been some interesting decisions that we've all read about that maybe don't have a lot to do with housing, but
Right.
but and it's funny, like the mayor can delegate many of these decisions. The budget is not one of them.
So if 6 counselors went in and said, okay, I'm happy with 4 days, and I'm happy with 7 days, and I'm happy with 3 days, and I'm happy with 2 days, how do you bring that to a resolution?
So that's what you're deciding today, and it's just a normal resolution. It's majority. The amendments are amendments to the budget as presented. So.
But that's my question. So if I think I want 4 days, and I talked to Mayor
Oh.
Jordan and say that, but there's no meeting,
Yeah,
how do we vote on it, or how do we come to a decision about, how's that happen?
that would come at a future council meeting within the period. Like, I think you're gonna have quite a few special council meetings, because
Yes,
depending on
that's
your
my
time.
question. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to be calling special council meetings.
Yeah, so say we, I don't know, you do this, whatever, you have, say you go with the 15 days or whatever. Within that 15 days, if the mayor receives a veto, or like an amendment that he is going to veto, a council meeting would have to be called within, in this case, 10 days, the override period, and then it's by council resolution that he makes the veto. The mayor can issue a mayoral directive, and that is how he vetoes, or he can say, I'm not vetoing. He can do whatever. But you're correct. If we don't have a regularly scheduled meeting within that time period, we would have to call a special council meeting, because council's by resolution, the mayor is by directive.
Several of them.
Like, this could get extremely messy. You're very correct. Like if you had a split council and you had some very divisive issues, you could be constantly proposing amendments that the mayor would have to decide to veto. And then if the veto came, then the council as a whole has to decide, are we going to override that veto? You'd have to have the vote. So, yeah, so it can be really smooth if everything goes fine, or it can be a messy. But again, if you do nothing, I think the worst it could be would go to February 9th, and you'd have your budget, whether amended, vetoed, it could be exactly the same if none of those amendments succeed. But yeah, it's complicated, and none of us have been through this process before. So, but we do have peers. We have the examples of the people who have had the strong mayors for a while. So, yeah, so what the CEO and I have had many chats too. So this chart on page 3 of the report is a basic one. What we intend to do is, if you decide on modified periods of that, we're going to give you a flow chart with dates, and that'll kind of hopefully help you see how this goes and what time periods you have.
Okay, I have other people here wanting to ask questions. So,
Certainly.
let's move on. Councillor Elliott, you were first, and then we'll move to Councillor Gunson.
Yes, thanks very much. I almost forgot my question.
No doubt.
What if, again, what ifs? I hate what ifs, but.
Yeah,
but
hypothetically.
If the mayor
Yes.
decided he liked all the amendments coming in, and he says, instead of waiting plus 10 days, says, I'm ready to deal with this today, one day.
He can
And then everything would just flow through.
Yeah, he can issue that directive anytime. So all that you as a body have control over is the review and the override period.
Yes.
The mayor can decide on his own what the veto period, and he can issue that a directive. He may say, well, if he does nothing, it's 10 days.
But he could walk in and say, we're satisfied, dealt with all the amendments,
Yeah,
things are going through, let's do it today.
He could issue a directive saying it's 0 days. Or he could say,
Yeah.
I want a week, it'll be 7 days.
Yep. So it wouldn't matter what we put it here.
Your council as a whole does not control that one, but you do control the review and the override periods.
So he's not beating, if he says he's not beating, own council wouldn't have to override, so you wouldn't need any days.
If no amendments come through, or an amendment without a veto, yeah, the time period will change.
If the mayor doesn't veto it, then everything flows through.
Yeah, if no amendments come through, like as the deputy mayor was saying, well, do you need a council meeting? So let's say the budget comes as presented, no amendments, which if there's no amendments, that means there's no veto, there's no override.
Right.
And we don't pass a budget bylaw, it's just deemed adopted. It's when you get into the amendments that other things may or may
it'll
not
be up to
happen.
The mayor, whether he decides whether he wants to move on with it. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Gunson.
Thanks. So on the chart on the budget process,
Yeah.
day one would be what?
Day
After
one
December
would be
2nd or
when,
December
it would
16th?
be December 16th.
And
It
then-
would be when the mayor presents the final budget.
And then we're looking to change that next step from 30 days to 15 days.
I'm just throwing that
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
which
no.
would happen to be December 31st.
Okay. And then if there's no amendments, the rest of it doesn't matter anyway.
That's right.
Okay, so you all know how you're going to spend your Christmas.
With a bow on.
Yeah.
Mayor
Thank you,
Turton.
Madam Chair, so if we pass the motion, Treasurer Duff, with the 15 review period and the 10 override period, We're looking at February 1st?
Depending if there's amendments or not.
Yep, okay.
Yes,
So if there's no
that's-
amendments and we go with your recommendation, and there's no amendments, no vetoes, everybody's happy,
December 31st.
December 31st, the budget will be in effect.
Yes.
Are there any other questions?
It's just,
Counselor Elliott?
even if we're not happy, it takes 2/3 of us to be not happy.
Yeah, and,
So
and it
one
was,
person is really angry, didn't get my amendment in, too bad. Unless you can get the rest of council to deal with.
so say we have one person puts forward an amendment.
Yeah.
Well, then the mayor has a decision, right? And depending on what he decides the veto period is, again, if he decides nothing, he's got 10 days to veto that after 15. So that would be January the 15th then. So yeah, say we have an amendment, say we go with this, the third days, he would have until January, January the 10th to issue a veto. You would have, if we go another 10 days, you would have until January 20th to override that veto. I think we have a council
And
meeting.
how do you go about that if you don't have a
It's a
council meeting?
but it's where you have to have a council meeting.
Yes.
Yes, so we probably have one anyway, but say we didn't, one would have to be called. And then you get into, you've got your municipal act of giving notice for meetings and all that, so that would all have to be considered too.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I hope that you have kept track of all your hours and time on conferences and seminars, because we don't have this in the budget. We didn't have your time to do this work in our budget.
Just part of the job.
I understand.
Really,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think we should send an invoice to, I mean, it's, if you look at it with non-glazed eyes, it's ridiculous.
I know, I
And I
realize
know
it's
I'm
not
I
something
know-
that you asked for, it's not
Yeah.
something that anyone asked for, but here it is.
You're the messenger, Gord. I
Yeah.
understand that. And I mean, you're the person that's taking these conferences and learning the process to keep us on the straight and narrow.
Thank you,
Right.
yes.
Are there any other questions? Maybe we can get our treasurer off the hot seat here shortly.
So.
It's
I have
fine.
a couple of questions.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
This whole process, as everybody can tell, is nothing that I think is a good idea at all. However, so if you have this amendment and we need to call a meeting because there's more than one or two amendments, and we say, or maybe there's two amendments, or the mayor wants to veto it, and it's Christmas Eve, and we're calling a meeting, and only 3 of us can get here.
Well,
So then what happens
if
to
you go
your
with the 15 days, then you have until December 31st.
Right.
If you don't, we have till January 15th or whatever.
But like your difficulties of calling snap meetings and getting quorum and meeting, any thoughts or considerations or talk about what happens then?
If you don't have a meeting, then you can't pass a resolution, then you can't override it, and the veto would stand.
So if you can't go Tuesday, you go Wednesday.
And the office is closed between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, but don't forget, at 15 days, you're not having a meeting in December. The meeting will be in early
It
January.
would move to January.
Yeah,
yes.
or whatever you choose, like.
Strategically, yes.
Yes, yeah. So you can get past Christmas, you can get past New Year.
Perfect.
But January 10th, you better have a meeting that first week if you're going to do that. Again, depending what the mayor decides in the veto, and he's the person that decides that. So as I say, there's 3 different things. You control 2 of them, and the mayor controls the other one.
All right. Are there any other questions for our treasurer? All right. Seeing none, I've already read the question. So I will call a question. I mean, I've already read the recommendation. I'm sorry. So I will call a question. All in favor? Opposed? Not sure. Okay. All right. Thank
Okay.
you. And thank you, Gordon, for wrapping your head around it and then explaining it to us because it's a lot. to
Yeah,
handle, for sure.
and
So the next two might be easier.
that they are much easier and something we have done before.
Yes.
So we have an application for a tile drain loan, and it's by Jim McLaughlin of Bramhill Farms, and we've had him before. And he is asking for the maximum of $50,000, as you can see in the application. So this is just bringing it forward that we have an application. It'll come back to you again. But he's looking to start very soon.
Okay, he's actually looking for a loan for 37,500.
So total cost of 50 and loan is
The loan is
37,500.
37,500. Yes. Okay. Yes, because you can have up to 75.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's still 6% too.
And it's still 6%, yeah.
Not looking too bad these days. So.
Right. Okay, so I'll read the recommendation and you can be thinking about your questions. Moved by Councillor Gunson and seconded by Councillor Elliott that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report finance 2025-016, application for tile drain loan by Jim McLaughlin of Bramhill Farm South, Inc., prepared by the Deputy Treasurer for information purposes, and further that the Town of Minto approves the application for loan under the Tile Drainage Act. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. That carries. Moving on to the next tile drain loan.
Yes, and so the previous one was the beginning of the process. This is the end of the process. This is one that came forward at the August 12th meeting. And this is where we actually put the bylaw in place. So the work's being done. And he's applying for the maximum of 50,000. And again, this goes as an additional charge on the final tax bill, and it just gets collected in the same manner as taxes.
That's over 10 years, I believe, right?
Yes, I think so.
It used to
Yeah,
be
I think
anyways.
it's 10, yeah. And again, 6%.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read the recommendation. That's not the right one. Here it is. Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson and seconded by Councillor Zimmerman that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report finance 2025-017, tile drainage loan for Wayne McTaggart, prepared by the Deputy Treasurer for information purposes, and further the Council of the Town of Minto considers passing tile drainage rating bylaw 2025-057 during the open session. Are there any questions? Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
Thanks.
That carries. Thank you, Treasurer Duff. And I'll turn the chair back to the mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dirksen, we have a CAO 2025 road salt usage, and I'm going to ask our CAO, Courtney, to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. This was kind of interesting for me, given my background, both in the Conservation Authority and also in Public Works. So I stole it from Mr. McIsaac. I don't think he minded. At the July 8th meeting, regular council meeting, members lifted a piece of correspondence from the town of Bracebridge regarding road salt usage. And so I've outlined here some information for the town of Minto. 251 kilometers of road that we apply salt and sand to. And I also included the rough chart of the number of snow events per year, as well as the salt tonnage that we were using for the overall winter control season. And this information is given to the Canadian Ministry of Environment and Climate Change on an annual basis. And then I also added, which wasn't a request, but something I thought was interesting, was the source water protection information in regards to salt storage and application near wellheads, municipal wellheads. So this is purely a report for information.
Okay, so the recommendation is that Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Elliott, that the Council of Town of Minto hereby receives report CAO 2025-008 Annual Road Salt Usage prepared by the Chief Administrative Officer for information purposes. Questions? Councillor Dirksen.
Thanks for putting the report together, Mr. CIO. What I find interesting is the 24-25 year, we had a lot of snow, but we had a lot of freeze thaw situations. Like we had a lot of snow, but it did go away and then come back sort of thing. So, because I know there were a lot of complaints last year about the amount of snow removal, not just on our roads, but, and the cost of it, but on the, private properties as well. But yeah, we used a lot of salt in comparison to other years because of that warming trends, and then it would get cold again. So that's kind of interesting.
Other questions? Hearing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of, for information purposes on the report? That's carried. Thank you very much. We're at announcements, and we'll start with Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to talk about Remembrance Day coming up in November, very soon. So Sunday, November 9th at 2 p.m. at the Cenotaph in Clifford. The Hairston Legion will be there, heading up the Remembrance Day service. And then on Tuesday, there are services in Tuesday the 11th at 11. There are services in Hairston and Palmerston, and they are at their respective cenotaphs, and just encourage people to try to attend if they are able. And that's all for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Zimmerman, do you have anything to add?
Perhaps I do. Just kidding. So just a little recap from last week. Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th had a couple of great Halloween events in Harrison and Clifford respectively. Even though the weather was a little miserable, it was great to see kids out in costumes. And they're definitely there for the candy. That's all I can say. And also last week there was two really good community dinners. One at the United Church in Harrison, and the other one was the Clifford Rotary drive-through pork chop dinner, which was great. I want to say a thank you to Mayor Turton and his wife Ann, and to Deputy Mayor Anderson and husband Dave Anderson, County Councilor Dave Anderson, for helping me do the judging for the Creatures of Clifford this weekend. I sure wish we had more participation for people that would register their homes. So that's something that our Clifford's Connect group can work on. There were certainly more houses decorated than what we had on our list.
Exactly. Yes.
And they did a really great job too, might add. This week, tomorrow evening, late afternoon, evening, James Street United Church in Palmerston is holding a turkey dinner. I don't know if they have tickets left or not. 25 for adults, kids from 7 to 12 are $10, under 6 is $5. So there's 2 sittings to dine in, 4:45 and 6 p.m. Takeout, if you choose, is 4 to 6:30. At this point in time, you need to call the church to see if you can get tickets or sitting, whatever. And that number is 519-343-3620. And tonight and tomorrow night, amazing that we didn't have enough baseball. At the Norgan Theater has opened their doors for a watch party, which is kind of cool. The doors open at 7:30, and all they're asking for is a cash donation to the food bank to get a seat in there. Concession booth is open. So I think that sounds like a kind of a neat thing. And that's sponsored by Caldwell Banker Win Realty. I'll just get a little plug in for them. Don't forget Friday night's Halloween. Watch out for kids on the street because they haven't had enough candy yet. And don't forget daylight savings time starts this coming weekend. Or the ends this weekend, regular time.
All back.
Thank you very much, Councillor Zimmerman. Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Well, there's hardly anything to say after all of that. Might as well-
Next time you can go first.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. Just, I had the privilege of presenting greetings on behalf of the town at the Farmerettes documentary film, which was well received. There was not an empty seat in the Norgan Theatre. I've never seen it full before, like completely full. And a really interesting documentary. I don't know if people know about the Farmerettes, but these young ladies came forward. It actually helped them with their education. They got some of them. There was a lady there who was a farmerette. She was 100 or 99 years old, still mobile, talking, alert, oriented. She said she went so she wouldn't have to write her chemistry exam. That's why she became a farmerette. But anyway, it was a really good documentary. The lady who started it, she found a picture in her dad's photos when she was going through his house after he passed away, found a 2x2 with 3 ladies sitting on the side of a truck and started to look to see who they were. And that started the whole thing. And she has this book. They go around, they've been in almost every community in our region, well received everywhere. Anyway, so I enjoyed that. It was great. It was really nicely done and a real shout out to the people who produce food for the nation and in all ages and shapes and forms. So that was good. I was going to say something else. Oh, community pantry. So the community pantries are alive and well in the libraries, doing okay. Just a shout out to people, remind people if they've got extra food or something that they think they could drop off. We have lots of usage, not as many donations as we'd like to see, but we're working on that. And I guess it's not too soon to start saying that the community Christmas dinner will be happening again this year, and it will be in Palmerston this year. And I think that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Councillor Elliott.
Yeah, I just, I haven't got a lot other than next meeting, I'm hoping to bring a notice of motion. And what the notice of motion is going to be is to reestablish the Community Services Public Board that we had in the past.
Thank you. So that notice of motion, possibly, how do we handle that? Because that's next down the list here.
So I will require that in writing in order to put it on the next agenda, and then it's considered the following agenda. So notice of motion, that is there for you to, that's not there for you to give some notice of motion. It has to come in writing in accordance with our policy. And then it comes the next one in writing that you know that's what you're bringing forward. And then the following one it's considered at that is in accordance with our procedural bylaw.
In fact, can I not as a counselor just straight out do a motion?
I'm not going to, I can't give information on
Notice
that
of
right this
motion
second.
is
but-
gives people the opportunity to look forward, and that's why I'm doing that.
Yep.
But if I decide
Right.
tonight that I want to make a motion bringing forward to do whatever I'm going to do, I could have done that. Because I think I'm allowed to make motions.
Mhm.
And as long as I have a seconder. I believe
A
that-
notice of motion, I think, just gives people
That's-
an opportunity
and
maybe
that's
to
why- that's
talk
why
to
I
you
would do
about
what
it.
I'm doing.
Yeah. So we'll give you, if it's a couple of, a notice of motion is number 15, and we're really only on 13. So we'll entertain that in a couple minutes, okay?
Sure.
And
Councillor Elliott?
again, the portion of notice of motion on our agenda is that's where it would go in writing. So it does have to come in writing.
Sure. I'll follow that rule.
Thank you.
Councillor Potnowitz,
I have nothing to report.
Councillor Gunson.
Go Jays, go.
Yeah, just a couple things. I'd just like to thank Edna for helping out as well up in Clifford and helping her. I don't think you mentioned her, but
Yeah, that would be.
you'll be in trouble. Today we had West Ontario annual general meeting. It went very well. If anybody wants to talk about that, we can certainly talk. You can get the minutes and go over them if you want. Second thing, this week, got to thank our public works people for taking, so everybody's well aware that our 4 monuments in our cenotaphs in Minto belong to the town. And we manage them, maintain them, and there was a request came forward from one of the legions for us that we likely should watch them. So we've found a business that does that kind of work. We got a quote on all three. We bulk purchased and we got a good deal and it was in our budget. So I think Gord found the money in the budget along with Mike McIsaac. So we went ahead and had them washed. The town supplied the water, which made it less expensive. And also, like I said, with three coming to do three, and I visited all three and they're really quite well done. They're very clean and I think our legions are going to be very happy. So, okay, thank you. So we're going to move along here to notices of motion. So Ron, you're going to put that in writing to Annalene?
Only
Okay.
before the next meeting.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so, we have a resolution, sorry? Pardon me? Yep, I skipped over that. Oh, today's my first day on the job. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the council, the committee of whole convenes into regular council. All in favor of that motion? Thank you. And then the notice of motion, Ron, thank you. And then we have a resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman. Council of Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in committee of the whole. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. It's some bylaws moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Putnavitz, that the bylaws 2025-057 through 2025-064 be approved and read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council, sealed to seal the corporation. All in favor of that motion? Carried. Thank you. We have a confirmatory resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Elliott, that bylaw 2025-065 to confirm action of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto respecting a meeting held October 28th, 2025 be read a first, second, third time, passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor of that motion? It's carried. Thank you. Adjournment. Resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman. The Council of the Town of Minto adjourned to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor of the motion? Thank you very much for a very productive meeting.